Did you know that during the Salem Witch Trials, more men were accused of witchcraft than you may think? Yes, even in the 17th century, it wasn't just the women who had to face the heat. This surprising fact shatters many common misconceptions about the notorious trials. So it wasn't all about the ladies, was it? Now that we've piqued your interest, let's meet some of the key figures who found themselves in the eye of this terrifying storm. Our first unfortunate soul is Bridget Bishop. A woman known for her flamboyant lifestyle and multiple marriages, her unconventional behavior made her an easy target in the puritanical society. Accused of bewitching her husbands to death and seen as a corrupting influence, Bridget was the first to be hanged on the infamous Gallows Hill. Then we have Sarah Good, a destitute woman with a sharp tongue. Her refusal to fit into the societal norms of the time painted a target on her back. Despite her vehement denials, she was accused of witchcraft by her own daughter, a chilling testament to the hysteria that gripped Salem. No less tragic was the fate of Giles Corey. A prosperous farmer and full member of the church, Giles found himself accused after his wife Martha was targeted. His refusal to plead guilty or innocent, a stance he held to protect his estate from seizure, led to his gruesome death by pressing, a fate more tragic than any witch's curse. Let's not forget the Reverend George Burroughs. A well-educated man who had served as a minister in Salem Village, he was accused of being the coven's leader, the witch's kingpin, if you will. His recitation of the Lord's Prayer during his execution, a feat believed impossible for a witch, sent shockwaves through the crowd yet did nothing to save him from the gallows. And finally, we have Tituba, an enslaved woman of South American origin. Her tales of voodoo and witchcraft, initially meant to entertain her owner's daughter, were twisted into confessions under duress. Her stories of red cats and yellow birds, of meetings with the devil, fueled the frenzy that was to come. A motley crew of unfortunate souls indeed, each with their own tragic tale. But who were the people pointing fingers and the ones in the black robes deciding fates? Now let's dive into the core of the Salem Witch Trials, the accusers and the judges. At the heart of the accusations were a group of seemingly innocent young girls, led by one Ann Putnam Jr. This 12-year-old, along with her cohorts, began the horrifying chain of events by pointing fingers at the supposed witches in their community. Imagine that for a moment, mere children initiating a mass hysteria that would lead to the deaths of 20 people. Accompanying the girls was the influential Putnam family. Anne's parents, Thomas and Ann Putnam Sr., played pivotal roles in the trials. Their motivations, some historians argue, could have been political, as they were known to have long-standing disputes with several of the accused. Then there were the judges, the ones donned in black robes, tasked with deciding the fates of the accused. Among them, the most notorious was Judge John Hathorne, a man whose fervour for the witch trials earned him the rather grim nickname, the Hanging Judge. He, along with his fellow judges, was quick to believe the accusations and even quicker to hand down the harshest of punishments. However, it wasn't just about personal vendettas or religious zeal. There was a collective fear, a paranoia that had seeped into the veins of the society. It was a time when the unexplainable was often attributed to the supernatural, a time when the devil was as real as the person next door. This fear, coupled with the power dynamics of the time, created a perfect storm for the witch trials to take root. Indeed, the Salem Witch Trials were more than just a series of unfortunate events. They were a complex web of accusations and judgments, driven by personal motivations, political rivalries, and societal fears. Justice or just plain paranoia, it's hard to tell, isn't it? With the stage set and the characters in place, the play of terror and tragedy began. The Salem Witch Trials were not just about pointing fingers, they were a complex process that fed off the fear and hysteria of the public. The process of the trials began with an accusation. Once a person was accused of practicing witchcraft, they would be brought before the local magistrates. These magistrates would question the accused, often in a public setting. The accused would then be sent to jail, regardless of their plea, to await trial. The trials themselves were a spectacle. The accused would be brought before a panel of judges, and testimonies would be heard. These testimonies often included accounts of spectral evidence, which were testimonies of the accusers claiming to see the spirit or the spectral shape of the accused tormenting them. But let's not forget the tests. Oh, the witch tests. They were a bizarre and chilling affair. One such test was the witch cake. A cake would be made from the urine of the afflicted and fed to a dog. It was believed that if the dog displayed the same symptoms as the afflicted, the accused was a witch. Talk about taking "you are what you eat" to a whole new level. This public spectacle stirred a frenzy of fear and paranoia among the people of Salem. Neighbors turned against neighbors, friends against friends, even families were torn apart. The fear was palpable, the hysteria contagious. The trials were not just a manifestation of the fear of the unknown, they were also a reflection of the societal norms and religious beliefs of the time. A grim reminder of a time when fear and superstition reigned supreme, casting long shadows of terror and tragedy. The trials and the terror they incited lasted for over a year, resulting in the execution of 20 individuals and the imprisonment of many more. It was a time of fear, a time of superstition, a time of witch hunts. A grim chapter in history indeed, where fear and superstition held court. When the smoke cleared and the gallows stood silent, what was left in the wake of the trials? In the aftermath of the Salem Witch Trials, a community was left grappling with the effects of its own hysteria. The trials, which had once dominated every conversation, every whisper, every accusing glance, had finally come to a halt. It was a chilling end to a year-long nightmare. 20 people had been executed, their lives cut short by the fear and paranoia that had gripped the town. 19 of them had met their end at the gallows, while one man, pressed to death under heavy stones, had refused to give in to the madness that had consumed Salem. But even as the trials ended, the echoes of the horror continued to reverberate through the town. Families were torn apart, their loved ones lost to the gallows or the prison cells. The fields stood barren and neglected, the consequence of a community consumed by the trials. Salem was a town in mourning, its people haunted by the spectre of their own actions. And yet in the midst of this devastation there was a glimmer of hope, a spark of reason. The trials had ended because people had begun to question, to doubt. The voices of reason had finally pierced through the clamour of fear. The impact of the Salem witch trials was far-reaching. It was a stark reminder of the dangerous dance between fear and power and the havoc it could wreak on a society. It was a lesson in the perils of ignorance, of blind faith, and of unchecked authority. The trials had ended, yes, but the scars they left on the fabric of society were deep, a grim testament to a dark chapter in history. They served as a mirror for the society of the time, reflecting its fears, its flaws, and its capacity for destruction. But they also served as a beacon, a guiding light towards reason, towards questioning, towards progress. They were a painful reminder of the past, yes, but also a cautionary tale for the future. A sobering reminder of the power of fear and the price of ignorance. And thus, we close the book on the grim tale of the Salem Witch Trials. We've journeyed through the dark and disturbing chapters of history, piecing together the chilling narrative of the unfortunate accused, the relentless accusers, and the unyielding judges. In the year of 1692, the once tranquil colony of Massachusetts was gripped by fear and paranoia, a haunting testament to the power of superstition and mass hysteria. We delved into the heart of the trials, a terrifying spectacle where the rule of law was overshadowed by the rule of fear. And we witnessed the aftermath, a time of reflection and repentance, where a community grappled with the horror of its actions, the lives lost, and the innocent reputations tarnished forever. We cannot forget the shocking revelation that set this all into motion, the innocent child's games that spiraled into accusations of witchcraft, forever altering the course of history. It's a stark reminder of the power of fear and the danger of unchecked accusations. This journey into the past has been chilling, yet enlightening. As we close this chapter, let's remember the lessons it teaches us. Let's strive to be critical thinkers, to question instead of blindly accepting, to seek truth over rumors, and to promote understanding over fear. If you're bored, go take a trip to Salem and see the history of this era. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to join our community of history lovers. We'll continue to unravel the chronicles of history, one story at a time. Until next time, thanks for watching.